Hey guys, we're going to revisit Talbot today, and I'll explain why a little bit later. It's mainly a cedar scent to my nose. There's some neat background notes but they just don't compare to the strength of the cedar. So it's basically a cedar soap. So if you're a cedar fan, then you can enjoy that nice scent with the awesome performance of Talbot. Timeless, titanium handle. I can't remember if this is a stainless top cap, but we of course can see that it's the bronze open comb base plate, and it makes it quite a head heavy razor there because of that, the lightness of the titanium. This is Stirling Finest Badger, and this is from their first batch of Finest Badger brushes. I think I really enjoyed it the first time I used it. Get it back in the water here. And it's been soaking for several minutes. We are going to be using the Nacet blade. Let's go ahead and get it in the razor. I can't remember if I have used this this razor configuration. I think I have. I think it was a little bit on the aggressive side for me, but the Nacet is so smoothed out that it might be just fine. And I'm going to grab the blade the right way so that you guys can see the markings there. The little one right there, it's kind of a makeshift N up there. Now look, we still have a Sharpie dot over here on the other side of the center mark, the center point. One of those Sharpie dots that's been there for so long. And this is shave 445. And again, we're not flipping the blade yet. It's still working. Out of curiosity, when I started this blade, I decided not to flip it. And I think if I can shave 444 times on a razor without flipping the blade, then I guess maybe flipping is not all that important. So flipping religiously may not generally be a big deal, right? All right. It's all set up. Now, from what I understand, due to different metallurgical properties, you don't really want to store different metals contacting each other like that for an excessively long time. There's some kind of connector where they contact. There's something that builds up, and so I would disassemble a razor for long-term storage. And this person, whoever I bought this used from, had included a washer, and I'm still keeping it. It's a little bit of a nuisance. I always forget about it. I always disassemble the razor to put the blade in, and the little washer falls out somewhere because I always forget about it. All right, so that's ready to go. I'm going to get my face wet, and then we will load up the soap. So I did remark when I first evaluated this soap that the scent was nice. I could definitely use it for an extended period. If this was the only soap I had available, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But it's a pretty monotone, cedar-focused scent, and I'm not enough of a cedar fan to just want to avoid my other soaps and use this one, even though it's got that great Talbot performance. I mean, they've really locked into a nice formula here. I've got a couple of other Talbot soaps at least to represent, so I'll probably be passing this one on to somebody else. But I also entertained the thought that I might not have discerned and apprehended everything that this soap had to offer the first time. And so sometimes nuance appears as you use a product more often. But the main reason I'm using this today is because HD Shaves made a comment recently about a video I posted, the one using this, saying that lather really looked amazing. Is it because of the synthetic brush? Because I had used that U-brush from AP Shave Co. with the Silk Smoke Knot, I believe is the one. I enjoyed the handle on that brush, but the Silk Smoke Knot didn't impress me. The And as I was mixing up the lather, I thought that very same thing. I just didn't say it in the video. And so HD kind of picked it out already. He noticed the difference. Well, I think one of the differences, Talbot is a soap that does display a lot of gloss and sheen on the lather when it's hydrated well. Not every soap does that. It's neither right nor wrong. It's just a property of the soap, in my experience. And so that's why I chose the Stirling Badger today, because I enjoyed using it, and I wanted to use an animal hair brush with this same soap, and let's see if we get that same amazing, beautiful lather that we got a couple days ago. I don't really care about the amount. What I care about is just the appearance of the lather. I don't care about time to generate it. I'm just focused on the quality. Because I think in many cases we know that those synthetics just are so efficient. They're quick at picking up the soap, probably because of that backbone, which is something I don't like. So, but also the way the bristles are configured probably helps them to generate lather as you're working it up in the bowl or on your face pretty efficiently. So do those fibers somehow mix it better, mix it creamier? Let's just use this shave to find that out, because I was thinking that same thing, and then he posted the comment, and so there's no better time like right now to give that a shot. This is a soft brush, nice and comfy. I really enjoy it. Holds a ton of water. You can hear it, a bunch of water coming out as I'm shaking it. I looked, and I think I had a 20-second load time with that synthetic, and I didn't end up with a ton of lather. Well, that was the first use that the soap had in a while. But considering the fact that this probably has a little bit of residual moisture from that shave, and then let's also consider the fact that these tips are much softer than the, and this backbone is much kinder and less than the Silk Smoke. Let's do a 30-second load, and that might hit us at a good point. All right. The white on my shirt is preventing me from seeing my my clock there on my phone. Halfway there. Five more seconds. This is probably way too much product. But like I said, even if I end up with an abundance of lather, we're mainly concerned about the quality of it. Okay, so we'll stick that brush in the bowl. I think I showed it to you. Definitely looks like more product than I used all of August, right? Because when I was doing 3-second loads, you could barely see the soap on the brush when I was done loading. I'm going to try to remember to use Barrister and Mann Hallows balm today, because that's one that I do enjoy a lot. And because it's a different shape, I always forget that it's a balm. Because of COVID, he chose to release balms instead of the aftershave splashes because alcohol was so hard to come by. Well, it just hides. It doesn't stick up like my other balm containers. So we'll put it out here front and center. Looking forward to using Mitchell's wool fat soon. I'm about done with kind of the new soaps that I brought in recently. All right. Mount Airy, North Carolina is the city that Andy Griffith kind of based his town of Mayberry on. Grew up in that area. You can actually go and I had some relatives took a tour in one of the old squad cars. I'm sure it wasn't one used by the show, but it was in the same style, you know. And they happened to get a ride with somebody who had a lot of good insider info, and they really they're fans of the Andy Griffith Show, and they really enjoyed the tour and the conversation. So it's whipping up light and airy pretty quick. I had an issue with my website where I enter my shaves. Since I started using this jigger, it's been much easier to record the shave, the amount of water used, the amount of water added, in milliliters instead of teaspoons that I've been doing for so long, because my syringe that I used for years was 2 teaspoons per syringe, and that was kind of the easiest way to remember that quantity. But I switched to the jigger, and I haven't really looked back. I definitely like it better than the syringe because I don't have to try to remember. There's no mystery as to how many times I refilled the syringe. It's not as good at adding water by just a few drops. It doesn't do that well, but I don't have to do that very often. Well, so far, this amazing lather is very nice and looks pretty much just like what the synthetic generated. The problem with my website came when I added a checkbox to my data entry screen. And it was a note, a little mark that said that the number I'm putting into the water added field is in milliliters instead of teaspoons, because previously I just used teaspoons. Well, upon initial entering of data, I always wanted that checked because I'd really enjoyed putting in the teaspoons. Putting in the milliliters. It's easier to remember 17 or 16 or 22. That's kind of easy to remember instead of 3 1/4, that kind of thing, which would be the teaspoon amount. Well, bad programmer. I failed to account for the times when I would make an edit to the screen and hit save. That checkbox was still populated, but that text field was displaying the teaspoons, and I was kind of using it as a combo field. When I was data entering, I would put in the amount, and then that checkbox would determine whether that amount was milliliters or teaspoons. But when it came time to displaying a value already recorded, a value already in the database, then it would always show up as teaspoons because I haven't modified my program to that extent yet. And so then that teaspoon value, if I put in 20 milliliters initially in the first saving of the form, it might say 4 about 4 teaspoons of water. Well, that checkbox would still be checked, and so then it would do the math on the processing side as if it were a milliliter input, but it was really a teaspoon input. And so that's a long story to say that some of my data entry has been wrong. I just spent some of yesterday going back and correcting some of them. And so during 2021, if you look at some of those shaves and you see some radical value in the water added column there, and the water added thing that says that it was 0.2 teaspoons of water. Well, that's a victim of that data entry error. Now let's take a look at this lather. It's not as sheeny and shiny as yesterday, but it looks terrific. It's very creamy. I have added 20 milliliters of water, and that's roughly how much I put in before. Let's add just a little bit more. And then we'll probably use it. The synthetic might actually make a creamier lather with maybe less bubbles, perhaps. I am using the same bowl that I used with the silk smoke, so at least that is constant. Yeah, I've got tons of lather here. I mean, look how elastic that is. That's awesome right there. That's pretty cool. Looks like soft serve ice cream coming out of a dispenser. Very hydrated. That cedar is a scent that's just coming right up out of the bowl to my nose. If you have a mountain cabin and you want a soap that gives you that scent, very cedar focused, then this is a nice choice. Cedar and pine, that kind of thing. All right, let's get my face wet. Let's see what we have here. Oh man, this brush feels great. Compared to those synthetics I've used the last few days, this is awesome. Oh look, it's gathering up around here. Probably needs more water. I've got my jigger in kind of a weird place behind the foam. So much you can kind of see the lather is being generated here, and so I think maybe I'm going to add a little more water to the bowl, a little more to the brush. Oh, this brush is such a welcome, plush, soft feel. Medium backbone, nice density. And when I say nice density, I mean medium density. Man, this is, if this is how, this speaks to me, this brush. And so if this is what Stirling brought to the customers the first time they pushed out a Badger brush, I can see why it became such a popular choice for or good recommendations for people who are really curious about Badgers. Now, these days they have more backbone. I think Rod at Stirling likes higher backbone brushes. This is tremendous. Still needs some more water. Man, yep. Told you 30 seconds. As I saw it develop on the brush, I did mention that 30 seconds is probably going to give me too much lather, but mind doing it. Oh, see, the gloss is starting to come out now. I've added enough water. Look how awesome that is. I mean, that's just, if I wiggle it more, will come down. I mean, that's just tremendous. And it's got more of a sheen now than it did a minute ago, and he could even take more water. One thing I miss about not having a sink is when the brush handle gets messy and I don't have this easy way to clean it off. I'm trying to keep less suds out of some of my water down here. So yeah, let's go ahead and add. Look at that! I haven't added 30 milliliters of water in a long time. I've just used a lot of soap today, and so I'm having to add the water to compensate. Feels good, feels creamy on my face. Doesn't feel quite as hydrated. Toward the end there, I was feeling it a little bit, kind of creamy and pasty, to where I wanted some more water on there. Wow. Could definitely have just stuck with 20 seconds or maybe even 15. I've got tons of lather, but for some reason the angle I'm showing it to you guys there, that's a little bit better. It was just not quite the optimal angle to kind of show you the viscosity there. Yeah, there we go. Probably take more water if I felt so inclined. All right. Well, let's take down this 1 day of growth with extreme prejudice. See how the Nacet works with this razor. I've been using kinder razors lately. Tugging just a tiny bit, but then it's losing it pretty quickly as I keep working that area. I don't know how the against the grain pass will go, the work that I have to do there toward the end of the shave. Sometimes a higher gap razor doesn't make that as enjoyable. Yeah, that's just such a nice cream. That soap base is enjoyable. I've got a patch over here that often needs to be hit again, so let's just go ahead and do a little touch up right over there while I'm here. Nice. All right, second pass. That's better. I can feel the slickness. There's no pasty feel. I'm using my towel more and more with soapy hands than I ever did when I was in front of a sink, because I don't have as many. My little soapy bowl, my swish bowl for my razor, it kind of gets soapy pretty quickly. What that's translating to is my towel is kind of retaining the scent of the last several shaves, because it's got the dried soap on there. Sometimes that's really neat. Very nice. A little water. And third pass. Oh man, enjoying this brush. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I just would not have a problem if this was the only brush I had for the rest of my life. Soft tips. They feel soft and not jelly. I don't feel like I'm rubbing a bunch of sponges on my face. A nice comfy splay. As you see though, it picked up plenty of soap, and so I'm not sacrificing anything in terms of that. Once I got past the first pass there, shaves have been nice and comfy. And we'll do the against the grain right here. See how that goes. Hey, pretty good. Nice. Excellent, excellent. Very happy with that. And let's get a good rinse. So I did get a creamier soap with the synthetic. It may have just activated it, aerated it in a different way, perhaps just less so. But I mean, this is a nicely hydrated soap, very slick. It doesn't quite have the sheen that the Author's Ridge had the other day. But, you know, okay, so points to synthetic. I will yield that at least the first impression, this first test, the synthetic does seem to make a little better lather. It still doesn't make up to the fact that I love the feel of this kind of brush and other boars and other natural hairs. I just like it so much better than the synthetic, and so it's not enough to, the quality of the lather is not enough. It's not different enough to make me want to switch. This is highly effective, well hydrated, very slick, and so I might say it's a grade of 90 out of 100, where this stuff I generated the other day, more like a 98 out of 100, you know. And so the difference is kind of small for me compared to the difference in the face feel. But that's a great question. It's something I thought of as well when I was looking at that very same lather with Author's Ridge a few days ago. We'll do more testing. It requires me using more synthetics, but why not? Why not? Same bowl. And so the ridges here aren't necessarily adding any more air because they didn't do it with the silk smoke. I think it may just be the brush. So you guys who like your synthetic brushes and the way they feel on your face, you've got something extra to be proud of, is that at least in the first test here, it seems like you get a better lather. We'll do more though. I got to fight for my natural hair bristles just to make sure, you know, I want to give it a fair chance, do several different tests instead of just one. We use other soap bases. It could depend on the soap base. I wonder if a certain base might be more, just like we have soap bases that are tolerant of hard or soft water and work in either case. Perhaps we have bases that where a synthetic brush doesn't offer an advantage. It works up just as well. And my guess might be something like Chiseled Face, the original formula there. and its kind might be that kind. But some of these newer bases, especially, my initial guess is that perhaps those might like a synthetic more, kind of like today's experience with Talbot. So we'll give it a shot. Like milk steak would be a good one to try. I've got that Noble Otter here. All right. Okay, so we are not going to forget now. I remembered. And with the cedar dominant note, I think the Hallows is going to work very well with that. I'm not used to grabbing the right amount here, and so I may very well have just pulled up more than I need. I like this method. I like not having to shake a bottle, to get some out. So it's probably just a little bit of practice I need to do. Yeah, that's a good amount. I'm easy spreading, a little bit of water left on my face. Oh, Hallows is so good. And we're getting into the season where the weather kind of matches the Hallows vibe. I don't always have to match my scents to my weather situation, but I do especially like the darker scents in the fall and winter. All right, well, there we go. That's been today's shave. The timeless worked well. Let's check out the closeness. If I wasn't using this razor that's a little on the aggressive side for me, I would hit this area again. But I know that I get adequately good coverage and closeness with the more mild razors, where I can really work this area a little harder safely, and so I don't feel like that. I don't feel like chasing that today. Well, from Mayberry and Timeless, Stirling brush, Barrister and Mann balm, great soap base from Talbot. Yeah, the balm is definitely matching with that cedar from the Talbot soap. Author's Ridge. I guess maybe for me there was just a lot of disappointment because of the hype and the story behind the Talbot soap. I think it was Emerson, who was part of the dedicating of the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery back in 1855. I could be getting that wrong. And the guy behind Talbot that develops the scents, he did a scent. This is the story of the scent creation, and it paraphrased. He did a scent based on descriptions of that event from maybe Emerson, and then he did another scent based on his visit there. Something I remembered with the Author's Ridge. It's darkness in nature is because one of the things about that cemetery is that they left the trees. They didn't level the ground. They left the natural environment like it was when they made it a cemetery. And so he did one scent based on his experience, maybe while visiting there. Another one based on somebody else's writings or impression of being there, or a story about it, something like that. And he did 4 total scents. You can look it up online if you want the exact story. And then at the end, he decided to craft one scent out of all those 4. And Author's Ridge is what we have. What a great story. I thought it was really cool. And then to have it be pretty much just a cedar scent with just some nice bass notes, it just kind of fell flat for me. It was kind of just very anticlimactic. Of course, we must always remember that the soap swallows up a lot of the nuance. And so it could be that complex and sophisticated are the liquid versions of Author's Ridge, like the EDP, if there is one, and the Splash. Those might be where the real story behind the scent is told. So let's not judge it too harshly based on the soap, I remind myself. All right, guys, there we go. That's been today's shave. Hope there's been something good in here for you, HD Shaves. You and my brain had some questions that hopefully we answered today about the synthetic. You guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.